Hello everybody, it's your boy Hawka, the Counter-Strike Scholar, back with another video, this time breaking down how Degster was able to be the second highest rated player at his first ever big LAN event. Degster is a CIS AWPer who's really brought Spirit on to another level since he joined this team, and he molds himself in that ZywOo style of AWPing, where he likes to play intelligently and likes to pick his spots. Now, he did only play 6 maps at IEM Cologne itself, but including the maps he played in the play-in, Spirit actually lost more maps than they won, and yet despite this, Degster didn't have a single game with a negative KD. So let's have a look and see how Degster has been playing so hot diggity damn well at his first LAN. Before we get into the video, I'm trying to hit 100k subs by the end of the year. It is quite a lofty goal though, so if you enjoy the content, why not help me out? Hit like, hit subscribe, you know all the YouTube stuff. Let's not waste any more of your time. Let's get into it. The first thing you noticed when watching, wow, that is not how you speak English. The first thing you notice when watching Degster's POV is that he holds a lot of angles because of the way that Team Spirit play, and because of that, I think he's very good in these spots where he just has to focus in on one angle and lock it down. See here on Ancient at this back square position, he does a nice job in this round at just getting those 2 kills, and this is actually a position Degster loved to play in general, which we'll get to later. But you can see in this follow-up round, he gets a really quick and clean shot onto Cadian, who was trying to jiggle peek and bait out the shot so he could post up on the angle. But Degster doesn't fall for it, and he knows when he can get that kill. Then here on Nuke, again, just a good job at beating the utility, getting a really fast kill, which completely stops Heroic's ability to be able to move into this B bomb site. And he actually somehow turns this into a clutch win in this 1v2 because Heroic aren't in positions to get to this bomb. And this is something else we'll get into later, that Degster is very smart in a lot of these spots. He realizes he can just lock this bomb in as soon as he puts that molly down onto Hut. There's no way anyone can rush the site quickly enough, so smart play there. And then finally, there's this one here on Overpass, where he's just holding while his teammates are pushing up. And this links us nicely into why Degster is into a lot of these positions. And it's because of the way that Team Spirit play on T's side, where they are so often grouped up very early into the round. And so Degster's job is just to hold an angle to make sure his teammates are okay. This heavily grouped style that Spirit play with was especially prevalent on Overpass, where Degster was very often just asked to watch the flank for his team because they were grouping so early and going for very early site hits. And there were rounds where that worked, like the previous round, like this round here in round 10, where his teammates get the entry onto the site, and him holding the flank means there's no way FaZe can get into good positions to actually contest this bomb site. But there were obviously also rounds where the push just didn't work initially, like this one, where Degster gets left in a 2v5, and it does feel kind of weak not having your AWPer have the chance to have any impact on the round. Although I suppose the positive is, at least you can save it and keep that economy decent. And here's another example in round 5 where Spirit again called for this fast B play, which they were doing a lot in this matchup against FaZe, and it just means Degster never has an opportunity to influence the outcome of this round. With the way Spirit play, he definitely felt like a passenger at times, and I wouldn't have minded seeing Spirit have some rounds where they freed him up to go for a couple more picks, but all in all, holding that flank works okay because it means that FaZe can't punish this style as heavily because they know if they try and flank, even if they are aware of the push that's coming in, they're probably just going to walk straight into that AWP. Because of this Spirit play style, you do see quite a few highlight rounds from Degster where he is just holding as players push him and he consistently hits the shots. There was this one I showed earlier on Overpass, which was well taken. There's this one on Ancient where he's able to deal with the players pushing towards him. Even if it looks a little sketch for a second, it works out for Degster and he gets all these kills. And then there was also this other round on Ancient where I love the spot he plays here. This is a really intelligent position to be able to peek further into this ledge angle than you might initially expect. And you see the heroic players aren't fully prepared for him initially. And Degster is just very consistent and very reliable in these shots, which is exactly what Spirit wanted in their AWPer. But considering the way they play, he not only has to hold back, but sometimes has to know when he needs to push with his team onto bomb sites. And Degster definitely showed good decision making in quite a few of these rounds. For example, here on Overpass, he holds long for that initial pick. Then with low time left on the clock, he doesn't feel the pressure that he has to push to the bomb site. He waits to see this gun barrel and holds this angle so his teammates don't have to be concerned about this AWP swinging on them. And then now he realizes the time is so low that with 10 seconds left on the clock, he needs to go help his teammates to ensure they get that bomb planted. So eventually he does commit to the site and helps them win this round. You get a similar story here on Nuke to close out the game, where Degster initially knows he doesn't need to push the site when there are so many riflers alive, so he can just hold heaven, find this easy kill initially. But then I'm so impressed with how smooth he looks and how comfortable he looks transitioning to this AK, using Silo for cover on this initial fight, and then working with his teammate to close out the round. Really well worked here in a spot that a lot of AWPers might be uncomfortable in. And then finally, on Ancient in this round, Degster realizes he doesn't need to commit to the site as heavily in this one. He's better off just holding this strong angle that the CTs like to use a lot to get this early kill, and then just holding the flank initially until they figure out where those last two CTs are playing from, because this ramp position can be really solid for the post plant. And he eventually pops up and is able to have impact on the round even when he doesn't need to commit to the bomb site. This links nicely into another strength of Degster's, which was his ability to play these late round or clutch round scenarios really intelligently. I love how in this round he puts down the early utility towards Dumpster and Stairs, and that buys time for his teammate to start flanking around bathrooms while he stays near the bomb in case they tap the bomb, and eventually he realizes he can just go back round and link up with Magix. And this is such a great decision because there's such little time left in the round that FaZe are not anticipating this. They themselves have come in through bathrooms, and it makes it a very easy post plant for him to play. And you don't see many teams outplaying FaZe like this throughout Cologne. So really smart round. I love that one from Degster. Then there was also that 1v2 against Heroic on Nuke I showed earlier, which was a bit weird from Heroic's point of view, in all honesty, but I do love the way that Degster just realized the situation he was in, realized his opponents had made that mistake, that he could sneak onto the bomb, and the molly onto Hut is great because that's the only position someone can actually get towards that bomb in time, so another smart round there. In fact, on the whole, I really enjoyed that Degster seemed to like to try and find some really strong spots on the maps he played, and then make the most out of those spots consistently. You've already seen Degster play this back square position previously on Ancient, and so we saw him use the strength of this angle previously to get kills with the AWP. But even if he's not getting kills with the AWP from this position, because he's just holding the angle, he knows he has nades in his back pocket. So as soon as he gets smoked off, he can counter with a molly, he can counter with a nade, he can take the oomph out of this push from Heroic. And, I mean, if Heroic are going to miss this smoke, he'll also make them pay for that by peeking on the edge of it and closing out the round. And I'll give you one more example of Degster playing a really smart round in this one. Two of his teammates die in towards bathrooms early, but instead of committing heavily to fighting long where there's no way for him to fall back, Degster just sits on this long position, realizing he'd probably be traded if he tried to fight towards the site. And there's a chance FaZe overlook him because they've already got 2 kills onto A, and they might not have been expecting this 3-man A stack. And that's what ends up happening. He gets this first kill gifted to him for free, and then the real beauty of the round comes into play with the utility and the switch out to the AK. Plopping this smoke down is really nice. It just buys that bit of extra space and focus towards him. Then the flashbang works even better as it sets up this free kill, and he even gets a molly down onto Truck to give his teammate a free frag to turn it into the 1v1 and eventually close out the game. Really smart awareness from Degster to know he just needs to be drawing attention towards him in this position, and that rifle play also looked pretty solid, and this was definitely another strength of Degster's, was his ability to still have impact with that rifle. I won't go too in-depth onto his rifle play, but there were definitely a few situations where you would see Spirit being comfortable rocking 5 rifles, especially on that T side of Nuke. Oftentimes he would be working with that AK, and the most important thing was just that he never looked uncomfortable with the rifle in his hands, which is something you sometimes get that feeling of with other AWPers. But Degster definitely showed he can just get the standard kills he's meant to, and even landed a couple of flashier shots with the AK, which surprised me and is always a positive sign. There were definitely a couple of things I would like to see Degster do more or do better though. The first thing I'd like to see Degster do more of is going for picks a bit more frequently, or just generally playing a bit further forward on these holds so that he can have more impact earlier in the round. This round was a good example of him going for a pick onto B short initially, but there weren't many examples like this throughout the game, certainly less than a lot of other AWPers that you would see. And the great thing about Degster is when he goes for these picks and gets them, he's really smart at playing the rest of the round. You can see once he gets this pick on B, he rotates up to A. He knows that with low time left on the clock, he can help his B players out with this smoke for Monster. And then if they're going A, he can lock it down with the AWP. And if they're going B, his smoke that he's helped with on the B site will slow them down and give them the chance to clutch and rotate, which is exactly what happens here. But I just didn't see Degster getting the freedom to go for picks too often. And while that might just be part of Spirit's playstyle and part of Degster's playstyle, I think he could have a bit more impact if he went for some more early fights and rounds. And then the second thing is that he sometimes looked a little uncomfortable in some of the spots where he was having to push towards the site, or he was having to be that second man in trading. Sometimes he'd just miss the trade entirely, and then sometimes I felt like he needed to go forwards and help the team, but he generally has that more controlled and passive style, which meant he would hang back, and that's something that I'm sure may come with more time as he develops a more well-rounded game. All in all though, it was really impressive to see Degster playing this controlled, far-back style so well. Very few AWPers at a young age are able to pull it off successfully, and Degster definitely did, so fair play to him. Hope we can see more of that in the future, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you next time.